they have the weakness of their strengths. These games are so cool because they offer so much, but then and they can allow players to do things that designers didn't even think of, and sometimes it works and sometimes it causes a bug. So when it's positive, it means sometimes it's going to be negative. So it comes with it. So the only thing is you can put more testers and give more time. But there's not many other miracles. Maybe AI. That's another one where, frankly, if a machine could be playtesting with intention, with some sort of understanding of what it's doing, all the versions of a game all the time, and doing some stupid things and trying crazy combinations of powers and situations, that would help us. Again, I'm sure some people are thinking about that.
Very nice. All right, last question before we get into our next thing, and it comes from FP Aesthetics. And he goes, "What's one feature that you really wanted in one of Arkane's games that didn't make it in?"
Oh, there's so many, and then we forget. Because sometimes we try something, and and the glue gun was a compromise. The glue gun in Prey was supposed to create bridges, but instead we had memory problems with it and performance problems. So we had to have it that after the 40th ball that it creates, the first one that was created disappears. And that was not the reason why we could not do bridges. The reason why we could not do bridges is that we would have to be able to build things on top of each other like that, and then it would stain the world, and the collision would dynamically change every time, and that was a nightmare of So, and people didn't even notice that it doesn't do that, because
right.
Of course, I'm sure some do, but the way we designed, the way we eventually tied all the system together works.
Yeah.
It's even though it's a big trick, it's a big we avoid the problem.
But it's still like probably one of the most impressive kind of tools that there is in a game. Actually, even the fact that when you leave one area and go to another area, then come back and it's exactly the way you left it, I still think is so impressive. Given the fact that you have to load into other areas, but
yeah. No, there was certainly tons of challenge about it, but systems that did not make it, sometimes they make it in the DLC, like in Prey again, and we had this talking weapon that we did not have the time to finish in Prey, and then we thought, too bad, we'll put it in maybe in some sequel if someday there is one, and then eventually there was the DLC, so there. But those are not great answers. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find something a little more.
No, it's still insightful.
More crunchy.
Still insightful. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I could be better at it. I mean, the worst one is when a game doesn't ship. Like, imagine The Crossing was probably a good example of that. We had this feature called back then we called it cross-playing, which eventually. Cross-play means now platform, almost like playing multiplayer with different platforms. So, and that was a huge letdown. This crazy single player meets multiplayer people. That's probably the biggest feature that we've invested in our own money. We had probably cost us about $1 million of Arkane when we did not have $1 million to lose.
In regards to your design philosophy, how does it differ for your time between Arkane Studios and now with your time with Wolfeye? Do you have the same philosophy, or has things changed over time?
No, pretty much exactly the same. Pretty much exactly the same. I was talking about it with a friend of mine that is in the team as well. And we were talking about it because we've been working together for 20 years with this guy, right? And feel like, have we changed? And he was saying like, nope, still nope. says you're a little more flexible. You're a little more flexible, but kind of like still in the same direction. I think we have a taste, and it's not just me. Frankly, there's I could name 5 or 6 people that I've been working with for one of them for 30 years,
Wow.
31 years actually. Yeah. And so our ways are pretty set in the way. Our philosophy evolves though, because there are new generations, and our system designer Gael is fantastic, and he was also at Arkane for 15 years ago, but he's younger than me, and so he plays all the games. Is very much into all the latest practice. And those are important because it's sometimes details about UI, about about how controls, how you what are the new things,
minor improvements, and
how
things
guns
like
work these days, how and so, but as far as the values go, those don't change. At the end of the day, like it goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of this podcast. The values of games like Ultima around the world, etc., is really what inspired us. And then we've added some of our own. We've formalized some, and then they haven't really changed. It's always the same thing. It's just that the execution of it and the visuals and the UI, etc. Of course, that has to adapt to its time.
Yeah. So in our previous interview and in other interviews, you spoke about how in your games you like to kind of examine the human condition and what it means to be human, and like morality, and they're usually very morally kind of gray, and somewhat a reflection of the real world. So why is that? I guess that's the question.
Because I think art is about expressing stuff, whether it's internal or whether it's external. And I consider what we do as author. We do author games. Again, I'm feeling super lucky to be able to do that. There's no one is telling us what story we should tell, what story we should not tell, what character we should put in or should not put in. It just comes from a place from creation with zero hidden goal other than doing the best story we can, and that responds to our emotions. Everything is created from emotions, from experience. And in the case of Prey, we were wanting to explore a specific part of human condition, and then we did it again with Weird West, with a different aspect to it, and in this new game, it's another aspect to it. Which cool. I think is going to resonate with people a lot.
Yeah, I was hoping that we would still get that. I mean, I figured we would, since that's something you like to hit on. I mean, it's always connected pretty deeply with me. I mean, whether it's Dishonored, especially Prey, and actually very much so in Weird West. It actually, the whole thing, without spoiling anything, the whole thing with Weird West, just when you reach the end, it's quite an experience, and the kind of lesson learned is really cool. It's really insightful. I think I learned not only a lot about many things, but a lot about myself through playing Prey and through playing Weird West and games, adjacent to that, games like Fallout New Vegas and other games that also deal with, things along those lines. I think I've learned a lot, about that.
Yeah, thanks so much for saying that. And I think that's also why we like those games where we offer you different possibilities and different ways to play.